Alright, so we've got Lagzilla and Boss playing off once again. Just give it a minute for the affectionately named Lagzilla to load in. So, we're on Savannah this time. Bit of a bigger map. Probably see some pretty safe play from our players today. Both these guys can go for double storehouse. Straight off the bat, no barracks. Persia versus Egypt this time. Bit of a mix-up of the civs. Keep it refreshing. So hunting dogs early for both of our players. Wonder what we might see this one, whether we're going to see quicker mortals from the Persian, or whether we might see him try some spearman bowman pushing, or trying to get Asabara harass out if the Egyptian doesn't go for fast camels. Likewise, the Egyptian can go for fast camels, they can play off the barracks. There's a lot that can go down. Sorry about the bit of background noise. The Egyptian player probably wants to get to a stage where they can field a lot of elephants too. So there is also that, because they're going to really be what lets them put a dent in either heavy bowman or heavy immortal play from the Persian. Runji has quite a couple of hunts around his base. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. Did he have one down here? 5. Yeah. So FF's also got 1, 2, 3, 4. A few himself, and I think he might have another one over the top he hasn't found. But these players just checking one another out. And H2's inbound for both players. So Egyptians producing villages out of the town centre while aging up, while the Persian player having to age up and interrupt their villager production. It does even out though, because villagers for Egypt take an extra second to produce until they've actually got a priestess on them. I mean, sorry, even when they've got a priestess on them. And without it, they take forever to produce. Everyone fears the Egyptian samurai. So FF, quite a aggressive and greedy town centre, but I guess you could sort of say the same about Grungy's, but it's not quite as far away, not quite as towards his opponent. So maybe the Persian player wants to mount a bit of aggression here. So handsaw already done. The FF. Grungy's is a little bit slower. A range coming out to start with. The FF Grungy having not committed to any production like that so far. So close to second town centre, Grungy's been able to get his second TC build production going a little bit quicker. So right now I think he is a pair of villages ahead. Or almost a pair of villages ahead. Yeah. That's nothing huge. FF needs to look at putting some pressure on, I think. If he wants to delay his age 3, he really needs to be the one that has an impactful, aggressive age 2. Or the Egyptian player is going to walk over him, either with the barracks or their stables opening into an age 3 transition of the fortresses, the elephants, and then they can eventually get chariots. The immortal camps transition from the Persian, really wicked against anything from the Egyptian barracks, considering they don't get treated like ranged units, so the slingers are useless against them, and they can engage the axemen, even with champion, with that area damage on their own terms, because they've got that ranged attack. So getting your camps down as the Persian, and maybe getting your War Academy out so you can make use of those toggle techs, something you might want to look into. Rungeon likewise. If you can even go mixed, if there is a longer age 2, he might even want to go for a mixed infantry stables opening here, because then he can sort of pressure the Persian whilst also having something to help deal with the bowmen without really having to commit to a lot of slingers, which are really a bit of a junk unit against everything other than the bowmen. So the villager gonna fall here for Grungy. FF's making his mark here. I'll back this up with Spearman because is he aware? Does he know? You can only see the barracks, but I think you probably assume that on a bigger map the Egyptian player is likely to get camels early. Because on bigger maps, you know, it's always just great to have fast stables units out on the map. Just for the aggression they offer. But these bowmen are going to fall quite quickly to the slingers if they stick around. And this spearman not being in this fight is going to hurt FF a little bit, but Grungy ultimately does need to back out. Didn't quite have the units he needs, but at the same time, FF isn't really backing this up with a huge amount of units. He needs to bring his spearmen across to deal with this and probably try and take out some of these outposts, these watch posts, sorry. So Grungy going for a quick Templar set. Spearman coming in to check out what's going on. Might not want to stick around. It's a nice volley onto the camel there. Oh, he's even going to land another one. How's that for your troubles? So some nice initial harass here for FF, but Grungy is a eco macro powerhouse here. And he's getting a lot of these watch posts established on the map, which FF might be best off sending a unit to start scouting all over the map and just maybe slowly clear them out. Because it's going to give Grungy good intel if FF ever decides to go for stables units himself, which he will eventually need to. Because there will be chariots eventually coming out. But for now, Axeman and Camel Champ, really useful. The Camels, with Champion Upgrade, going to have a counter bonus against these bowmen, who really only get great bonuses against infantry. So FF can actually see one of these outposts. He needs to look at clearing these. Because then it starts to cost Grungy, because he's going to look at wanting to replace them, and then, you know, it's incurring another cost. FF's going to try assaulting the town centre, actually. Doesn't have a lot of damage to deal with the building. Now he's going to come back. Is he going to clean this up? Grungy really probably should keep the scout mobile. Maybe park it down here. Because then he can pretty much save himself having to throw down another watch post, but then he's got the whole intel of here. Actually, he's going to look at throwing down another watch post over here first. FF still hasn't cleared this out. Doesn't know about that one at the top there for Grungy. And camels are going to start coming out here. So Grungy spending really well behind all this. FF's got quite a bit in the bank now. And he doesn't really have a lot of food gold production facilities just to dump it with. Oh, actually he's finished up the stables, but he really needs to get them producing. Because this is really hurting him not having some Asabara out in the field for when the Egyptian... Well, the Egyptian's got a lot of slingers. And when he looks at getting the chariots, the camels are going to be strong against them, but you can always use spears and immortals to fight camels. So, Grungy not going to be able to stick around forever here, but he's forcing FF off. Only a couple of villages though, and I don't think he got any kills. But FF really needs to probably mop up something on the map here. Just hurt Grungy a little bit. Grungy doing a nice job keeping the camels mobile. Going to get a couple of villager kills this time. We'll get one at least, and this time he's forcing a lot more villagers to garrison. So overall, the raid ended up being quite good for Grungy. FF does have good production behind this, but he really needs to get some more units out in the field. Some more houses finished up. That raid did sort of unsettle him, I think, because he was finishing up houses there and then had to sort of micro all that fight, so Grungy is a little bit ahead. Probably can look at pushing soon because he's got Axe Champ, he's got some chariots in the mix. It's a lot of slingers. These bowmen are going to fall extremely fast. FF walling off one side of his base. We're going to look at getting markets eventually, maybe down here. Just funnel back to this town centre. And now he's going to pick off the watch post, but he needs to kill a couple more and really probably harass Grungy somewhere, who's going to start stacking up elephants now. So we've got the fortress out, only the one, and Grungy is at pop cap, so he is going to want to bleed some slingers in the next fight to kill whatever ranged FF's got, and then transition to that population into war elephants and chariots. But for now, I think he's pretty much ready to go. There's no immortals in this composition, a lot of Takabara, and these bowmen and mounted archers are really going to get wrecked by these slingers, I think. But it's nice of FF to sort of split them up from the fight, because he's going to be able to get some kills here. These guys are really fast compared to the full Egyptian army. If those guys are chasing, they're going to be there a little bit slow. But FF needs to move these guys quickly. Nice reaction time there. The slingers are going to pick off some of them. The Persian army is going to get a reasonable engagement, but the fortress is going to finish up, and the Egyptian player, no doubt, is going to rely on that. So FF backing off the boss, showing what he's made of with his defensive creep here. Going to be able to add some more elephants in behind this and doing just that. So FF needs to get some immortals in the mix, I think, because Slinger's not useful against them. The Axeman champion not going to fare as well against them, I think, compared to the Bowman. Even the Chariots should do better. Should fare worse against immortals than Bowman will. But this is good for FF. He's going to pick off a lot Grungy's trying to gather. Because Grungy wants to get a lot of stone here. Really means he can get quite a few towers and forts around the map. Replace town centers and those buildings as they fall. So this fight could go either way, I think. It actually isn't the hugest of front lines for either player. And all these villagers gathering are going to get picked off, but Grungy right now is probably reliant on the population for a bigger army just to fit those couple more elephants in. It's a good number of mounted archers though. Blot out the sun incoming as well. Which really give these bowmen a leg up against the slingers. Attack range of 23 versus attack range of 18, but you add, what, 20% to that. Really starts to become a lot more even. This makes it a bit easier. Pick off all the infantry without losing your own bowmen. So these mounted archers, what are they going to find? A fortress, which they're not going to be all that useful against. But FF gone for Golden Age already. He's done a wonderful job at gathering just as much as Grungy here, because he's managed to keep slightly ahead in terms of villager count. And keep the pressure on. Getting his own fortresses now. So what can Grungy do here? He probably could have had a little bit of population in the mix for camels, but it's just tough. I mean, there's mounted archers out in the field. But there's a lot of range to really roll over with camels though. What happened to all those camels, those elephants that Grungy'd been producing? He's kept them up the back. He's kept them in reserve? It's a lot of population to really have a side, because I mean, what are they, 4 pop each? Nearly 30 population worth of them. Sorry, I was just sneezing my head off. And Lagzilla is going to wall him in. Palin's joining the mix. There is a little proxy base going on here. Palin might be coming up to deal with this now. Grungy is eventually going to have to move out here and make use of these elephants, which he's sort of kept aside. But I think he's going to add even more if he can, and then just look at eventually shoving really hard against a comp that might be a little bit ill-equipped to deal with that many elephants. At the same time, Grungy can lose this little corner of the map over here. FF's done a great job of securing this side, actually. And now that he's broken Grungy up this side of the map. Grungy's the one that's really backed into a corner. Those villagers falling. 79 vills to 94. So Grungy's really forced to have to try and get a market over here, perhaps, and then wall this off. FF, you demon. Probably could have used one of these guys to actually focus this town center now. Because that would have been really painful for Grungy to deal with his army over this side of the map. Well, Grungy probably needs to make use of these alleys. Maybe split push. Or send them all here for this. Or yeah, probably split push here. Maybe leave some with the army. Try and take a fight over here, but then send the alleys in. I don't know. What do you guys reckon? Oh yeah, there's another fortress there to take out. So one of the Palins being up here for that's good. The others joining the army now. And Grungy's going to look at engaging. So FF better be ready for this. Oh, that's a nice kill. It's picked off one of the chariots. Palin falls too. Both players in their age 4 comp. Oh, age 4 armies, but not necessarily an age 4 comp because the Egyptian still has all those slingers in the mix. It's a shitload of elephants though. Getting even more behind this. Ooh. What's FF doing? Oh, he's going to send them back to deal with the fortress. Did they hit that fast enough? No. So Grungy's eventually going to have to make a move with the alleys, and he's got 15 now. At least this alley's low enough that the fortress can probably deal with it. But that area damage, it's going to kill... Oh, it does go down quick enough. 15 elephants. Grungy's going to do it. So FF needs to have units to deal with this. But he's going to lose everything. Bit of a base race time. Palin's going to go up. Be able to snipe the fortress. We're going to take 3 hits to do so. That's a lot of Ellies. 14 of them heading into your base. One of them goes down, but one of these town centers has already gone down. And they're making a beeline to the main base. You're going to be able to destroy so many low health structures compared to the town center. Meanwhile, FF and Easy needs to really push leapfrog up with this Palin faster. But Grungy, wonderful job with the LE hiding. Sniping a bunch of houses now. And farms. These are going to add up. A lot of this is going to be quite costly to replace in the long run. These alleys are going to fall, but right now there's another town center of Grungy's going down while there's a fight in the main base. A couple of fortresses and production buildings going down for FF. I mean for Grungy, but FF is going to be able to melt most of this army, I think. At the same time, still got 6 or 7 Ellies to deal with in his base. But this mounted archer squad been invaluable for him. As long as he can get it over to these elephants and keep the pressure up with the Palins, we'll be able to snipe some villagers. Some villagers for Grungy coming up to try and do a little proxy fort, I think. FF really needs to add some more production, and Grungy really needs to figure out how the hell he's going to get some gold here. He needs to get some markets down, which he's doing just that, but he's doing it right where FF's having a base set up. I don't think either player really realizes what's going on down in that bottom pocket of the map at the moment, but I think FF actually has the advantage in being able to deal with it because he's just got the faster unit out in the field. He's even converted one of the alleys. Might be able to convert another one here. And that's a good amount of range damage, a little bit of splash damage even as well, to try and deal with this composition. A war alley. Ooh, alley's being converted. This is not great for Grungy. And down the bottom of the map, the town center's finished up, so Grungy's market line is going to have to be switched to the top side where this fight's going on. So Grungy nearly out of gold, but he's gonna, if he, he's got the markets finished, he can really dump into the gold at the moment. I think he's just sort of struggling. Here we go. He still hasn't actually transferred any of this wood or food into gold yet. Well, FF's continuing to push up, maxing out his army once again. Fortress going on down at the bottom side, but he hasn't seen what's over here at the top. But his army is in the way to interrupt it. So Grungy now having spent for some gold just to get some more army out. Even getting saddlebags straight away, but this is putting him a little bit further and further behind FF at this point. He's already really well established his market line. Palin's going up once again. They're going to be able to snipe this town center this time. Grungy, come on man, you've got it. You can do it. Sneak some camel harass somewhere or something, man. Four Palins in the mix. If they creep forward one more time, I think it might be it for Grungy. There might be a fight going on now. Quick, deploy the Palins. So Grungy's going to commit now. He needs to. He's down by about 40 pop, but the elephant's going to be able to pick off some of the Palins. But will it be enough? There's plenty of mounted archers to take out the alleys. And Spar are pouring in from all over the map. The slingers aren't really all that effective against. Palin's going to pick off whole bunches of slingers now and keep taking out these fortresses. Now the slingers having to fight underneath the Palins. Just to get at the mounted archers, but still some Tucker in the mix. Some prods coming in, and sorry, not prods, some Sparabara coming in, and War Wagon Champ. So this hefty transition now from the Persian player. I don't know if the Egyptian is ready to deal with it, as long as FF can fit either some Immortals or some Spearmen in the mix here. But he's taking out that much of Grungy's base in all this. It may just be enough. Grungy has established a market line though. So FF going to crawl up once again. Map control this game has been impeccable. Look at this man, he's got such a dominant field of the map, and Grungy trying to throw down a third marker just to squeeze out even more caravans to try and get that boom eco. He's back up to 83 villages, so he's done a good job of it, but right now he's up against a maxed out FF and Easy who's pushing in once again, and this time there's the War Wagon Champions. There's some more upgrades, Age 4 upgrades for both players, basically post Age 4. And Grungy losing more and more behind this, having to replace houses while this is all going on because those Palins take out more and more buildings. Now the market line really under a lot of threat. These rear buildings. The main town centre of Grungy's set to fall as well. GG.